Tapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Harun Nefer. This is Qesankh Keperu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we have a good topic. I'm going to talk about why bad things happen to you. And we're going to understand the deeper implications of this as far as what it is meaning in your life, because some people are going through a lot of challenges and they want to know why me. And I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to give you two secret techniques that will help you to understand the underpinnings of the world and why certain things affect you. So you want to make sure that you listen to the end of this video, not flag it, but save it. But before I do that, I want to let you know that you should hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, you can grab some free ebooks in the links below. Also, you can take your study to the next level by becoming a Patreon supporter. Your support means a lot, and I have a lot of exclusive videos on there. You can check those videos out, and some are a nice video series. So I do a series on issues such as trauma and the true meaning of the Bible and things of that nature. You'll also get videos on meditation, proper breathing exercises, how to astral project, how to communicate with the ancestors, and your guardian angels. So become a Patreon supporter. You can cancel at any time. There is no obligation, okay? And last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. So Harun Nefer, I'm so glad you had the opportunity or have the opportunity to join me. Sorry, I got to fix this mic because it's so annoying. It's not in the right position. It's driving me crazy, Okay, I think that's better. It's been an exciting 2 weeks for my person. And I did not expect a number of things to occur. I've gone through some very, very interesting challenges, such as getting into a car accident, a wreck, which totaled my car. Then getting violently ill and having to be hospitalized for 3 days. So things have been happening. But I want to tell you this. When you open that door to living a magical life, you're going to see things in a very different way. You see, right now, you are viewing things from your two eyes. And that really is a surface view, a materialistic view of the world, because you've been trained that way because you live in a left brain society. But Tahuti has yet to come and give you back your third eye so you can see the underpinnings of how things truly work. Like, I'm not supposed to talk about this, but if you go to Vegas, Las Vegas, and you think that you can just play the games, right? And have fun and maybe win big. Well, that's not the truth of it. Because if you were able to see beneath the surface of things, you would understand that many of the games are rigged in the house's favor. Yes. And that if you were to start winning big, let's say you go to the blackjack table. I don't play cards, so I don't know too much about blackjack or poker. Let's say you go to the blackjack table and you're playing against a dealer and you start to win consecutively and you're winning big. Well, what will happen is the floor manager will come down and actually shut that table down, saying that you can't play anymore because you're winning too much. And although you think that, wait a minute, I thought that I can play as much as I want, win as much as I want, and be okay. No, the minute you start winning and winning big is that you're a threat to the casino, and they're going to escort you out. And if you come back and you continue to win big, that's an indication to them that you're a professional player. You're going to be banned from the casino. Not because you cheated, just because you're winning. Think about that. That's kind of a metaphor for life. Now, the aforementioned 2 secrets that I'm going to give you will better help you to understand the underpinnings, inner and understanding of how life works, so that you don't get caught up going, woe is me, why is this happening, so on and so forth. And it is very important that you understand how life works, because if you don't, you'll be playing the game, not realizing that the moment you start winning, someone will shut the planet down. One thing that happened that was very interesting the last 2 weeks is I want to tell you about this experience, which is extraordinary. I was doing some deep meditation. I mean, real deep. I took some herbs. I had adjusted the room temperature properly because it has to be at a certain degree. And I went within myself, deep, not knowing what I would find. Of course, I would be happy if there was a sexy female waiting for me, but I'm not complaining. So I went very, very deep and found myself at the beginning, where I was raised in Virginia. And I was with my family, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers. And we were passing by an old house. We were on our way to the movies. And we passed by an old house, and I asked to stop the car so we could take a look at the house, because we were in the market for purchasing a house. Don't ask me why. This is a dream, okay? So I walked into the house, and there was an old lady there who greeted me. And then she began to give me a tour of the house. And I remember the house crystal clear and where it was. It was stationed on a little bit of land close to the road. You would call it a highway. We call it a road in the country. Next to a bottling company that bottles soda, like Mr. Pip and things like that. And on top of a what do you call it? Electric tower was a giant pig. And that was the electric company's symbol was a pig. I don't know why, but I digress. As we're taking a tour of this house, she shows me the various different rooms. One room in particular I found nice was the den. Now, this old woman told me that they made the den. That wasn't really there originally. They bought the house, but they made it. Now, in this dream, I was kind of freaking out because this house seemed so familiar to me. And I was asking my sisters and my brothers there, and I said, was I raised in this house or something? Because as a child, because it seems so familiar. And throughout that entire dream, I mean, a lot of things happened in the dream. I couldn't help think that I had been to that house before. But long story short, we ended up going to the movies. And I came out of this trance in awe. And the reason being is because it was so realistic in a way. And it was on my mind for a number of days. It really bothered me. So I get a call from my aunt, and she basically was asking me what I was doing for my birthday. I said, I don't really have any plans. So I said, hey, I probably will come up there and see you and your husband and stay for a couple of days. I think that would be fun. And she said, that would be lovely. Come. So I caught a flight, got out there, and in driving from the airport when she picked me up and we're driving back to her house, she was explaining the amount of work they had did on their house. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's really nice. Didn't think nothing of it. We got out the car and then we went into her house. And immediately, I was terrified. She proceeds to take me throughout the entire house, showing me all of the rooms. And then she gets to the den. And she tells me that they made that den. It wasn't originally there. And then she showed me to my room where I could relax and take a nap. I was just shooken up, scared as all hell, because my dream forecasted what was happening. And in my dream, the house that I saw in my dream was exactly my aunt's house. Exactly, room for room. You talk about dreams have meanings. I mean, I was flabbergasted. I could not believe that somehow I had connected to 5D and was able to ESP, whatever you want to call it, remote view her house in the dream state. Now, after a while, I got over my fear and I started to make myself comfortable. But it was chilling. But it was also very reassuring because I knew then and there that these powers that we had in ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, extrasensory perception, remote viewing, astral projection, all that is true because I have experienced it firsthand. So no one can tell me that these things aren't real. I had never been to my aunt's house prior to that. Knew nothing about the house. Yet, in my dream, when I did the remote viewing, I was able to see every room in her house in my dream. I wish I would have came out of that state and drew it so I could have showed it to my aunt to say, listen, I was here. I remote viewed this house. So that was extraordinary. But here's the really, let me get to the subject of today. So on the day I was supposed to leave to catch my flight to get out there, I woke up really, really ill. Was just throwing up. And at first my aunt didn't believe that I was sick. She thought I was faking so I could stay a couple of extra days. But I was like, no, I can. She was like, you got to get up and, your ferrets are home alone and they need you. You got to get up. You got to get up. She says, get a barf bag and just get on the plane. I could barely stand up. The pain was so intense. She says, what are you going to do? You want me to call 911? I said, yeah, call them. So she calls for them to come. The paramedics come. And there was a nice woman. As she came into the room, I lost the feeling in my left arm and in my right arm. And I was starting to panic a bit. And she was calming me down. She says, that's because your breathing is not correct. And your body or your lungs is taking the air from the arm. And, and I don't remember exactly what she was saying because I was panicking. But when I calmed down, the feeling came back. So they got like a stretcher and took me out to the hospital. Now at the hospital, they gave me all kinds of worst case scenarios because they did a CAT scan and found out I had a bowel obstruction, which sometimes requires surgery. So the doctor was trying to prep me for the long haul that I would have to go to surgery and there'd be a recovery time because they would have to go in and physically remove the bowel obstruction. But in the meantime, they had to deal with the pain I was going through and what was causing it. So they stuck a tube up my nose, which went down to my abdomen to pump out the contents of my stomach. And then they gave me a room in a hospital where they gave me all kinds of medicine, lots and lots and lots of different type of medicine. The worst part of it was trying to sleep with the IV in your arm, another wire connected to your left arm to monitor your vitals, and then the tube in my nose. Imagine trying to sleep with all that on you. And I'm lying there, and I just couldn't believe that on my birthday, or near my birthday, the day after my birthday, here I am in the hospital. Sick as a dog. I just couldn't believe it. And I'm like, why me? Why me? But I knew why me. That was my person talking. The person is the vehicle, the autonomous vehicle's reaction based on programming from the dominant society. You're a program. Most of you are a program. You see, you know you're a program because you don't like Donald Trump. You've been programmed by mass media to hate him, to call him a racist, yet Biden is just as racist. You don't know that because mass media has hid that fact from you. See, the autonomous vehicle, which we call the Sahu in the Kemetic culture, is the animal spirit that just reacts, doesn't think, it's just emotional and just reacts. My aunt was emotionally reacting. She later apologized for thinking I was faking it. But here my person was reacting, saying, why me? Why am I going through this? See, let me let you in on a big secret, because most people are too stupid to understand this fact. You're in a state of stupor because you've been programmed. No one is exempt from bad circumstances. God does not favor you. God does not favor a group of people. You could be appointed by God to do a mission where you are to take out the Pharaoh of the United States government, to bring down the evil in our government. God could come to you one day as a burning bush and say, thou shalt go to Washington. Thou shalt tell the Pharaoh, let my people go. And then on the way to Washington, you get hit by a car. And you end up in the hospital. And they have to amputate your leg. Not good. And then while in the bed, after they amputate your leg and you have one leg and they're giving you a prosthetic piece for your other leg, you go to God, you say to God, well, God, you came to me as a burning bush and told me to go to Washington to tell the Pharaoh, let my people go. And I obeyed you. So why did you have a car hit me and have my leg amputated? And you know what God's response would be? This is the first secret I'm going to reveal to you. You know God's response would be? You have a destiny, a personal destiny. And nothing will change that destiny. Your destiny was agreed upon in the great hall of Ma'ati, where Tahuti, the scribe, told you what you would go through in his lifetime, and you agreed. You signed the dotted line. And it was in your destiny to get hit by a car at some point and get your leg amputated. That's what God would tell you. That just because I anoint you to go on a mission to save our people does not preclude you for getting into bad situations or having bad things happen as you believe, because you still have a destiny to fulfill. And being a one-legged Moses is part of your destiny. So God would then say, all right, after you go through physical therapy, get your ass to Washington and tell the Pharaoh, let my people go. And you would say, well, God, I'm going to, you still want me to go on the mission and I only have one leg? And God would say, yeah, why? That shouldn't stop you. You see, God wants to experience what it's like to have one leg. So God comes in within you. He places his consciousness within your vehicle, you call the physical body. And part of that destiny, which is governed by the goddess Sekert governs destiny. God experiences what it's like to have one leg. But you still must fulfill the mission that God is putting you on. You still must have hope and faith. You see, these Christian pimp pastor ministers are going to lie to you and tell you that if you give them money, if you become a disciple in their church, all good things will happen to you. That's bullshit. That's just a clever way of preying upon the poor and the impoverished. Every one of us has a destiny to fulfill, and you will not get out of that contract. Some people's destiny is to die at 18 years old. Others are to live to be 100, but be poor for their entire life. That's in their destiny. That's written in the stars. It's written in the charts. So when people are looking and seeing what's happening here, what's happening there, that's just part of their destiny, their personal destiny. And it doesn't mean that you just stop and throw up your hands and say, life sucks. No, you still have to go on. You still have to get to Washington and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. The world doesn't stop because you have a little tragedy in your life. God wants you to pick yourself up and keep going. Now, here's the second secret that will help you to understand this. Much of the bad things that happen to us are caused by a lack of understanding and how we've been indoctrinated into an evil society. Let me explain. You see, this world is predominantly left brain, which is looking at things from a materialistic point of view, which it separates things, divides things, labels them. It's based on factual information, cunning, duplicitous. segregative thinking, logic. That's the world we live in and how we're taught. The worst of this is binary thinking. What do I mean by that? Binary thinking is it's either good or bad, left or right, black or white. That's what the left brain, or how the left brain sees things, which gets us into trouble. See, when you incorporate right brain thinking, that changes the game. That's when the white oligarchy doesn't want to play anymore. See, they set up these rules to how the society works and how you can win based on left brain thinking. And if you're doing poorly academically, sports-wise, or what have you, then they label you as inferior. You know, a whole Darwin evolution thing. But never do they, you know, especially with the IQ test, but never do they say, well, we're judging you by our standards and by tests that we have created as left brain people, but you come from a right brain society. So that's actually unfair of us to judge you according to left brain standards. Because if it was reversed and Black people were to judge them according to right brain standards, they would fail miserably. Hence the bell curve. And that's a racist book. So when you start thinking in terms of right brain, you don't label things as good or bad. See, when you think that something bad happens to you, you have already put yourself in a very, very negative situation because number one, you've created an erroneous label and definition, bad. Because Tahuti tells us that nothing is good or bad or good or evil. It's only our perception of it that gives it its quality. Well, Tahuti actually says nothing has a quality in and of itself. It's neutral. And when Tahuti restores your third eye, that is the ability to think in terms of the right brain. So you will see circumstances as a part of a greater whole. You will see, oh, if I'm hospitalized, well, there is a reason behind this. And this more likely can turn out to be a good thing in the end. But we're not taught to think that way. We're taught to think binary. Oh, this is bad. This is a bad thing I'm going through. It's so awful. And the second part, and the worst part of it is, you manifest that and more because you are a reality generating machine. You manifest things. So when you're looking at something and you give it an erroneous label and definition, you're not only not seeing things correctly for how the world really works, because the world is not governed in linear thought or polarization thought or segregative thought. The world is governed by cycles. So when you look at something and you don't form an opinion of it, because you know nothing has a quality in and of itself, then you will prevent any more negativity from happening to you. You won't allow your person to manifest any more negative situations because you know that that is only a part of a whole, that there's the other side to the coin. But we're so quick and we're so indoctrinated into this left brain society that all we know is good and bad, black and white. That's limited thinking, very limited thinking. But when you learn not to place those negative or erroneous definitions and labels onto something, you become a master of your own mind. Couple that with the ability of Amen to be at peace in the face of the greatest obstructions, man, you would be unstoppable. You'd be unstoppable. Can you imagine a man or woman losing their house, their car, their wives, their husbands, their children, getting broke, and yet there's no despair? They're at peace. And they say to themselves, this situation is neither good nor bad. It's what it is. And if you approach life in that way, then you will succeed. Because there is nothing to obstruct you, nothing to stop you. Then you'll get the 46 hexagram in the I Ching, where everything parts and it allows you to make an easy ascent. So it's your perspective and on something that makes it a game changer. That's why I say Stoicism is very, very limited, because Stoicism says, well, bad things are going to happen and you must learn to accept them and learn to be okay in the midst of bad things. But the problem is you are labeling it as a bad thing. That's the problem. So you have to rid yourself of those crazy Western definitions and labels, because they're getting us into trouble. This is why they created neural linguistic programming, which is very powerful in how you communicate to yourself and to others. This is why when you hear me talk about myself, I say my person, because I know there is a separation between my person and my true self. My true self is consciousness. It's the God state. My person is the physical, biological body. You understand? So please, the next time someone asks why do bad things happen, you now have a proper understanding and can explain it to them why they're going through the things they're going through, because it's part of their individual destiny. They're going to have to go through those things and overcome them. And they can do that if they go through it with a right brain perspective. I hope this helps. And if you have enjoyed this message, please feel free to donate to the channel. Your donation will be appreciated. This is Qesankh Ma Keperu, son of Ma and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Hetheru. Until my next video, Amin Ra.